and welcome to Let's Talk About, a series spotlighting leaders, authors, artists, marketers, creators, and entrepreneurs sharing tips and expert advice on business, media, technology, and frankly, life itself. I'm your host, Cynthia Nelson, three-time entrepreneur, Forbes contributor, investor, and advisor. Today, we're talking to Lior Arussy, hailed as one of the world's leading authorities on customer experience and strategy execution. Among many things, I have to say, big shout out to you. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show.
So you have a really amazing and interesting background, but it's always that the road less traveled, right? It's never a straight line. So how did you get here? Share your journey with my audience.
Of course. I started after graduating with MBA with some startups. One technology startup that did very well. We went public on NASDAQ. The second one did not do well at all. And I found myself in Silicon Valley at HP. I was the head of the Internet Security Division for several years. And from there, I moved to a company called NICE, which was in the call center business. And then one day, I mean, we were cutting edge customer experience technology, all these type of things. And then one day I got a call from my director of sales in Holland, and he said, our best customer just won the worst call center in Holland. I said, there's no such a thing. There's no worst call center award. He said, in Holland there is.
Yeah.
I'm like, I called the head of customer service. I said, we just installed the latest technology. You are ahead of every other call center. What's wrong? And he told me a defining moment statement. He said to me, Lior, even a fool with a tool is still a fool.
Oh, that's a great one.
Absolutely. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, I bought the technology, but I didn't prepare myself strategically, operationally, culturally. We did nothing besides just installing technology. So I started to look for solutions, and very quickly I realized no one is there to do transformation. Some people will do research, some people will do branding, some people will do training, but no one is accountable from A to Z. That's when I started Strativity, a consulting business that I grew from my garage to about 150 consultants with offices in Australia, Canada, London, and the US. And we were privileged to do over 400 business transformations with some of the largest brands, from Mercedes-Benz to MasterCard to Delta to Novo Nordisk to Johnson & Johnson and many, many others that have invited us into their world. We delivered real hardcore results. And through the process, I also published some books because I love writing. And so I published books and articles. So that's the short description of how I got here. I am a father of five and a grandfather of five.
Wow, a father of five and a grandfather of five.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You talk about writing a bunch of books, but the recent one that came out is about Dare to Author. So what propelled you to write that? What's it about? I kind of think I know, but I'd love the audience to understand.
So my journey in consulting started with helping companies focus on their customers. Sound like obvious, sound like common sense. You go to every company, it's on the wall, but it's not in the soul. When we started to understand what are the obstacles, we realized very quickly the issue is not the concept, the issue is not the strategy, it's people resistance. So we found ourselves very, very quickly in the change management business. The common belief in the change management world is that people are afraid of the unknown future. We actually discovered that the problem is very, very different. So stay with me for a second.
Yeah.
When people hear the word change, they equate it with a negative judgment on their past performance. So if I was a cashier in a bank and you tell me we need to change, I'm hearing that the last 20 years of my life were a waste. I cannot process that. This is too much for me. So what we found out What we found out is that a lot of the change programs that are failing, and in fact, by the way, in 2017, we've done a benchmark study with Harvard Business Review. We found out we benchmarked 422 companies. Only 9% of them claim that they've been successful in their change program.
Interesting.
Now, Cynthia, if you change the word change to future or strategy, you understand what at risk here.
Right.
And that's stuck in the past. They are not moving, and it's not for lack of a McKinsey report that told them to do that. It's not for lack of attending the conferences. I'll tell you what it is. It's Susie from accounting and the thousands of employees who are killing it, 100 small deaths every day. Here's what we found out. People are stuck in old chapters and actually did not develop the muscle for change acceptance. And I defined this in my previous book. And next thing now, I claim that the future core competence of organizations is going to be the speed and scope of adapting to change, not their products, not their services. Dare to Author came as a personal tool and a professional tool to help people process those chapters, but not close them, but rather use them as a conversion mechanism to develop future capabilities and welcome the future, not as a victim, but as a victor. I want to help employees process their past, not see that as a departure or a bad judgment, but rather as a stepping stone, as a chapter in a book. You know, it's a book and chapters is very common for people, and I
Right.
want people to convert past experiences into future readiness and future resilience.
I mean, it can't come at a better time. And we were just going to kind of pivot into AI. There is so much, I would say, BS out there about, oh, it's going to kill everybody. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. The amount of bad publicity it's getting. Yes, there are issues with IP and IP ownership and name likeness, and there's all of that, and there will be lawsuits related to that, and I see that. But a lot of that implementation of AI is the change management side, and there's a lot of fear around it. What do you see AI doing for work and personal life, and what do you think are advantages, disadvantages? What's out there and what's in store for both workers and employees and consultants, entrepreneurs, as well as corporates.
So first, I'm going to respond to some of the noise that you refer to, but then I want to take a sharp turn and tell you what I think the real AI challenges are going to be. So from an employment standpoint, this is where all the buzz is, how employment is going to be reshaped and so on and so forth. And I think in order to understand that, we need to open the lenses a little bit wider. And I'm going to take you to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Let's go to Manchester, UK. People were doing their meals by hand and everything else, all the sweaters and all the textile, and all of a sudden machines came and all hell broke loose and so on and so forth. And you know what? This has been the case ever since. Every time technology comes in, it takes over labor-intensive tasks, and it actually freeing up people to do creative work, to do better work. I remember having a conversation in a focus group with a banker, and she said to me, I was the mortgage officer, and now shame on us. I don't need to do the papers anymore. They can do the papers online. I said, but that gives you time to look them in the eyes and say, you're fulfilling the American dream. What are your emotions? What are your feelings? How can I help you? You didn't have that time when you were filling up the paperwork, and you quite honestly did not really add value there. So the human the human value creation is moving up every time there is a technology that comes up. So we need to start. That's exactly the essence of why Dare to Author was written, because we always face change with fear and victimhood. And as a result of it, we think that our fight is going to help anyone, but it's not. All that happens is we get to the finish line and we're battered, we're scarred, we're tired, we're definitely not excited. So it's time for us to realize it's the same wave of technology. Now it's called AI. It was called other things before that.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's going to happen. It's going to take labor intensive. And the challenge for every employee is to ask themselves, what is my new step of value adding creation so I can be invaluable in this company? I'll be exceptional. So stop the fear, embrace the future, and author your next chapter. But here is where I believe AI is going to play a more critical part. Cynthia, in the last 10 years, we have empowered customers with more and more capabilities. Today, they go to a doctor, they already have the prescription. They don't
Yes.
even ask for their opinion. We are our own mortgage officers, our own travel agents, our own insurance agents. We are empowered to do everything. Comes AI and tells us, you know what? We are now empowering you. We are outsourcing to you creativity. You can write your own books, you can create your own pictures, and I believe that we have reached a tipping point in which we are ushering a new era of customer engagement, and I call it the one and only. The customer now became the brand,
Mm.
and we are now becoming the toolkit. And I'll give you a simple example, Cynthia, we all experienced and we didn't pay attention to. A couple of years ago, Coca-Cola introduced those freestyle machines, remember, where you can actually.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
for years, for 130 years, Coca-Cola said the formula for happiness, we have it. It's a
Yep.
dark liquid, and if you're
Yeah.
gonna drink
Yep.
it,
It's in this can and it's this
right.
bottle.
And now what they're saying, you are in charge of the formula. You
You
are
make
and just try to understand the strategic element that Coca-Cola is recognizing. We are shifting for being the brand to being the toolkit. So you want to talk about AI impact on the world? It's about the new one and only customer who's their own brand. There are 200 million content creators in the world. That's Germany, France, UK, and Italy combined. And we need to get ready for how do we serve those customers? What is our value for them? And how do we adapt to the fact that they are the brand?
Yeah, and I think they're getting smarter and smarter too about what brands are servicing them, really servicing them versus talking at them.
Exactly.
There's no more, I'm not selling to you. I'm giving you opportunities to create a better life with the product that I have.
And
And
it's a
here's how
co-creation
to do
model.
it.
It's
Co-create.
exactly it. It used
Tell
to
me
be
what
like
you
this.
think.
This is
Yeah,
the brand, this is you,
yeah,
and we are now in a co-creation environment.
yeah.
Exactly.
What do you think CEOs, we've come through a rough, from an investment perspective, financial perspective, a rough 2024 and the back half of 2023, 2024, went through an election. We're on the front end of that now, going into 2025. What do you think CEOs are the most worried about?
So
And maybe what are the opportunities?
okay, so I think that we can, I mean, if we just look at the stock market following the election, we can
Yeah,
see that there is a certain enthusiasm or optimism that is being infused into the markets, which I think will translate into investments and trying different things and so on and so forth. Because irrespective of your political opinion, right now the business community is demonstrating some level of optimism. This is on obviously is coming right next to some tariffs, threats, and stuff like that, which are
yeah,
instability, and instability is not great for us.
yeah,
But if I go into the AI and the technological world, I believe that we are facing right now two critical things that CEOs are worried about. And let's start with the employee and then move to the customer. On the employee side, hybrid is struggling out there, and I'll tell you why. When you're Zoom based, you can fulfill tasks. You'll be getting a project, you'll fulfill the task,
yeah,
and that's that. But
yeah,
if you look at it strategically, you need to ask yourself where the next generation of leaders are going to come to this company. How
yeah,
are they going to learn from each other if they're not together physically? That's problem number one. So we are reducing work to task orientation without that growth and development that comes with knowing different departments and engaging with them and so on and so forth. So that's threat number one is where would the leadership come from? The threat number two is where would innovation come from? Because innovation is not going to happen on Zoom. I recently conducted a couple of workshops for a company that works in a hybrid environment, and here's what happened. After 4 years of a project being running on Zoom, the first step that they have actually taken in action was after a 1 day workshop where we just got the people in the same room. And when they summarized, they said, you know what, Lior, 4 years we've been doing all these meetings and now we have a roadmap and nothing was done. And one meeting together, looking people eye to eye, committing together
yeah.
is making all the difference. So I think threat to leadership of the future, threat to innovation. And I believe that CEOs are going to have to basically develop two tracks: employees who are just interested in task orientation and are not looking for major
Yeah,
progress and
they
life.
don't they don't want to move up. They just like
Right.
what they're
And
doing.
and and life work balance is one definition for them.
Yeah,
And
correct.
others who are finding purpose in what they work at, so they don't see that as conflicting with their
Yep.
life.
Yep.
And those are going to be accelerated to leadership. So that's one bucket on the employee side. On the customer side, in light of that new attitude of I'm the brand, there is a new complete restructuring of what does sales means, what does marketing means, what does operation means, what does service means. How do we become that toolkit that empower them as opposed to tell them? Because a business used to operate with research and development are asking questions, and the moment the product is out, we are a bunch of exclamation marks telling people what they want. It doesn't work anymore. Now the question marks are across the whole journey with the customer, and that requires a restructuring of every role in the company.
I think CEO, you're right. They have a very big job ahead of them. And the split work time and the flex time has been great because of COVID, but it also has caused some problems, as you say. Um, if you had a crystal ball, what would you say 2025 is going to look like?
I think that we are going to see a growth in the, I call it, emboldenment of customers and employees. We're going to see them taking a stronger position in terms of who they are, what they stand for, and kind of their expectations from the organization, being it an employer or a provider, are going to be more intense. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And I'm not seeing yet the technologies and the tools that are helping companies to cope with that situation. So, more power to the customer, more power to the individual, and organizations that are still struggling with how to respond to it with new tools as opposed to their traditional old tools.
Thank you so much for providing so much packed into 20 minutes. I know you have a lot more to talk about. So if someone wants to reach out to you, first of all, where can they buy the book?
Dare to Author is available on Amazon. We're actually very close to running out of the first print. We're very happy to see that. So
Love
thank you
that.
very much.
Awesome.
Grab your copy before we need to print again. And liorarussy.com is the personal website where you can see a lot of my articles. I publish at Fast Company and other places. You'll see them all there. And Impact CX is the corporate side for services and so on and so forth. Again, impactcx.com.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
holiday season. You're my last interview of the season, so have a great holiday season, and we will talk in 2025.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, Cynthia. I really enjoyed it.